Hi, my name is Robert Hutchins, and this is our autism YouTube channel, South Texas Autism. Kind of looking around, excuse me. um, yeah, my wife and I, we have three kids. My stepson's 18, and he just graduated from high school and moved out. He's working up north Texas, living by his dad, but he's actually doing a youth camp, or I would call it kids, like almost like a retreat type camp, and he's there full time. He's supposed to, at first he was going to be there just August, and now he's there, going to be there year round. But anyway, and then we have my daughter who she was born with spina bifida. We got some special needs with her, but not as bad as it could have been. And then my youngest son, Rob, he's on the autism spectrum. And that's kind of how we got into autism. We didn't go looking it out, it found us, and we started noticing, well, let's say around a year old, he kind of regressed. He was meeting all his milestones until then, and he regressed. And doctors said, let's give it some more time, let's give it some more time. And it was around 15 months. The doctor felt like something neurological was going on. And so he recommended we start therapy, number one, speech therapy, number two, PT, and occupational therapy, three therapies. Anyway, so he started those around 15 months old. And at first he thought he had cerebral palsy, but we did some testing and found out it wasn't that. It had a brain MRI and wasn't cerebral palsy. So anyway, fast forward a while, and we ended up, something came up where we thought he was having absent seizures. He wasn't ever having like full-blown seizures. He just kind of blank out for a while and stare off into space, not respond to anything. It was really weird. Anyway, so we talked to the pediatrician about it. Pediatrician was like, well, we probably need to get a EEG, and he sent us to the children's hospital. They tried to backdoor it, but they told us to go ahead and go through the ER and all that. We were there half the stinking night, and then they finally admitted him. Well, they had him on the EEG machine 72 hours, and there were several times we thought we saw something, and we point him out, to the nurses or whatever. Well, at the end of the day, the neurologist came in. He was basically like, I see nothing, there's nothing wrong with him and all this. And meanwhile, he's like at least 18 months old, maybe 20, almost 20 months old. He can't walk, he can't talk, but there's nothing wrong. There's nothing, neurotypical, nothing going on. So anyway, we got a second opinion on Austin, and we went to a doctor. Her name was Dr. Elton, and she was with, I think especially for children. Now it's over near Dell Children's Hospital. So anyway, we spent an hour with her, got all our questions answered, and that was the other thing. The neurologist we saw down here, we're in the Corpus Christi, Texas area, it was him and another lady. And if you saw one, you couldn't see the other. So even if you disagree with one, you could not see the other, because they were in the same group. So basically, we actually had an appointment with the second neurologist, and she canceled it because we saw the other one in the ER or in the hospital. So anyway, we go up there, we see Dr. Elton, everything got answered, explained, and it fit. And that's the thing, like we weren't like just looking for any diagnosis. We wanted to know what was going on, how do we treat it. And so anyway, she gave us information. That was, I mean, other than that, until we started researching, my experience with it was that movie Rain Man with Tom Cruise and what's his name? Dustin Hoffman. I forget. It's been a while. Anyway, so we came back. We started researching, but he was diagnosed with uh, PDD, NOS, speech delay, sensory processing disorder, and something else, and he was still going to therapy. So anyway, we've continued the therapies. He's been in speech, PT, and OT. He's fixing to be 10 next week, and he's been doing that since he's 15 months old. Which I really think their pediatrician, because if he wouldn't have done that, we would have waited for diagnosis. He didn't get diagnosed until he was 20 months, is March 2011. So we would have waited even longer. So anyway, he really did us good by doing what he did, and so we've been rolling with it. But yeah, so we've been doing that. We started out with home health, and that was good for a while, but we had to get rid of like 5 or 6 therapists. Most of them were PT and OT, because the more we got into it and researched, the more we learned about like sensory processing disorder, and you got to get that controlled before you're going to make any headway anywhere else with them. And so the OTs that we had they didn't know anything about sensory, and that was the big thing. And so finally we got a lady that knew, and then we had OT, and I forget what happened with that, but we started having to go somewhere for that. Like, it wasn't, I mean, he only had OT at home for maybe a year or two, and then we've been going to the therapy facility. And now we actually have all 3, because one of the therapists that was good with PT, she left, and someone else was kind of like running her business, but they just weren't getting to work, because it was hard to find home health agencies down here. That's one of the biggest things. And so they weren't getting work, so they'd have to, a lot of them would move back out of town. And so several of them did that. And then a speech therapist we had, that he had, like with speech, he only had one therapist. And then there was something that went on. There was some personal stuff with her, but she, he was kind of put on hold for a while too, because he qualified for SSI, so he was on Medicaid. And so with that, they'd have to do recertifications every so often, and he was on hold for a while, and we would kind of like, sometimes he just need a break, where even when he was on hold, if something didn't get pushed through right away, we would just kind of let it sit, because he'd benefit from the break anyway. So anyway, we got him, we tried to go back to her, and just no response. So we ended up, now he's got therapy with all 3 therapies over at the facilities he does it at in Corpus. So anyway, and he's made a lot of progress at speech. He didn't start talking until he was about 5.5 years old. And so, and that's the weirdest thing, because before he regressed, he was saying certain words that they'd say at that age, around 1 or whatever. I mean, it wasn't like a huge vocabulary, but he was saying words, and then all of a sudden nothing. So anyway, but we've also tried ABA with him, and we got a grant through the Shriners, I think. And so he did that, and that actually messed him up. Like he regressed, and we got him out, and now he does behavioral. I call it behavioral counseling. I don't know what the exact term for it is, but he goes to a counselor, and it's worked wonders because, and we also actually had to put him on some medication because his anxiety went through our roof. I mean, he had so many unfounded fears, like dogs. Dogs are one of them, and he's never been bit or hurt by a dog, never been attacked by a dog, nothing. So he told us at one point he had a dream, and I think the dog had a muncher, or the muncher had a dog, and the dog was trying to bite his feet. So the dog was nipping at his feet. So he said that's why he's scared of him. But then also, like adults, he can talk to adults. Any adult he'll say hi to, try to have a conversation with them, whatever, no problem. But he sees another kid, and it's like he's real unsure. He gets very nervous around them, doesn't want to be around them. It's crazy. And so anyway, it got to a point where we couldn't even get him out of the house to go to therapy. And then plus his behavior was just off the charts. I mean, he was having multiple meltdowns, tantrums, everything else, and it was more. And that's one thing I'll discuss too later down the road with y'all, because there is a difference between a meltdown and a tantrum. And a lot of things, there was a lot of times we thought he was having meltdowns, and looking back at it, I think a lot of it was tantrums because he didn't get his way. So we had a hard time reversing all that stuff and getting him on the straight and narrow because he was like, I mean, it was bad. And so anyway, but so now he does the therapies, and then he's also on medications for anxiety, but we hadn't seen a bad tantrum or a meltdown in almost maybe probably about a year. And that's a huge change for him. But anyway, it's been a long road to get where we're at, and his speech has really developed. He still at times will, it kind of sounds garbled, and sometimes it's hard to understand, and certain words he may not know. He's working on reading. He can read a little bit. His fine motor skills are still a little lacking, so the writing is not there yet. We're still working with him on that, but anyway, but yeah, we've been homeschooling him because we tried public school, and that was a nightmare. I'll go into that in one of these episodes down the road, but anyway, yeah, so that's how we got involved with autism. It found us. We didn't go looking for it, trust me. But anyway, so yeah, and we've got our three kids. My stepson's actually, we had a couple of different opinions on him, but somewhere on the spectrum. But his biggest thing was just social situations, and then also he had what's called an expressive language delay, where he kind of struggled to put certain words where they should be, like to express himself. And he had to do therapy, speech therapy a couple of times, and it was weird because with him, he'd be in it, like, maybe a couple months, do like 8 sessions or something, and then he'd be caught up. Oh, anyway, he always did really well at school. Been working since he was 16. Worked in the food industry at a fast food place and did well. Did good in school. I mean, sometimes it'd take motivating to keep him. He was very smart, so it would just take yearly. We'd have multiple times a year. We just have to motivate because the work would stop the effort, and so anyway, but but yeah, he's out, and as far as we know, he's doing good. He wanted to go, and it's kind of like not on his own, but is on his own. Because I mean, and that's a good thing that that camp turned out where he's working there year round. Because that way he's around other people and not by himself. Because I don't know. Um, I don't know. He was talking about he was going to end up with the trailer. Didn't know if he'd be near where on his dad's property. I think they have a couple acres or somewhere else. So I could imagine if you're not used to living on your own and you're by yourself completely, especially having, you know, two. He's got my youngest son and my daughter on this side, and his dad's side he has two younger brothers. So anyway, but yeah, we're starting this channel, trying to spread our message and what we've been through, and you know, feel free to follow us. We have a website, www.southtexasautism.org. Facebook is South Texas Autism. Twitter is STX Autism. And then I don't have an autism Instagram yet. But yeah, feel free to follow us on any of those sites. We've got, I think, almost 5,100 people on Twitter, 300 or 400 people on Facebook, and then maybe 1,000 views a week on our website. So, but we have a lot of information on our website, and then I'm active on Twitter, and so that's a good one to follow me on. I do share some stuff on Facebook, but it feeds through Twitter, so most of it is on Twitter, and I've got a lot of people that I follow that have great information as well that I share. And so anyway, but yeah, and our email is southtexasautism@gmail.com, and I'll put all these links in the description. But anyway, I thank you for watching our initial video, the intro video, and we'll keep doing this. I'm going to try to do it weekly. I've got some other stuff. I got just regular podcasts for random thoughts. Sometimes I talk about autism, but it's more focused on just general things. And then I'm going to start a YouTube channel on that as well. So anyway, but look for another video soon, probably next week, and I'll talk to you later. Thanks for watching.